But actually, it's interesting that we are going to be talking about preparing an outdoor environment. So I think I'm going to start today's session reminding everybody and talking about what this idea of a prepared environment is. This word prepared environment is used mostly in reference to the 3 to 6 environment. And what we want to remind everybody that this word prepared environment actually refers to everything around us, human beings, that we have to live within a prepared environment. And why does an environment have to be prepared? Why do we even talk about a prepared environment? We talk about a prepared environment because the environment is there to, in a way, support us, support the way we live, make us happy, help us to function efficiently, help us to function easily, and to be happy and cheerful in our environment. And therefore, the environment is everything that surrounds us. So, before we start even looking at the outdoor environment, I'm going to start by asking us to think about what is the environment and what do we mean by preparing it? And then thinking about why it is so important that we actually prepare an environment for the children of all the different ages, not just for 3 to 6. This term prepared environment actually refers to all ages, including ourselves, as I said. So when we think about an environment, we're talking about not only the physical aspects, the things around us, the building, the room, not only the contents, but it is actually also made up of the people and the atmosphere. Yeah? Do we feel comfortable when we walk into a room? Does it make us happy, cheerful, or does it make us depressed? So the way an environment looks, the aesthetics, the beauty, is part of the things that we have to look at when we are preparing an environment. And then the idea of preparation is, if we look up the definition, it means to make ready. And to make ready something that is going to help us to be happy in, function easily in, function happily in, we have to think about all the different aspects that make up this environment. So when we're preparing it, we are preparing it thinking about what is needed by the people who are going to be in that environment, who are going to live in that environment, who are going to use that environment. And I always kind of think about our kitchens as a very well, it can be a very well prepared environment or a terribly unprepared environment. So if you think of a kitchen, when it has everything you need, when you need the mixing bowl, when you need the frying pan, when you need the whatever it is to pick up the yellow, whatever we call it they call it in Chennai. When we need it and we know where to find it, we function easily and comfortably. Where to find things is very important aspect of a prepared environment. I also think of places like the airport, and those of you who travel, I don't know whether you've been through Singapore airport or even Qatar airport, which I've come through recently. Everything you want, it's very, very easy to find. It's nicely labeled. There's a place where people can go to be quiet. There's a place where people can go and watch a certain, if they want to watch a news channel, if they want to watch a sports channel. And even the sitting areas, there are different types of chairs. And I also tell people about the bathrooms in the Singapore airport because I think that has been so well thought about. If you go into the toilets in Singapore, I hate to talk about toilets, but it is the place that is so prepared for a traveler with luggage. Have you ever been traveling in an airport and you have a bag and you go to a toilet which is so small that only fits you and not your suitcase, and you have to leave your bag outside? So it's not really, and then you don't feel safe, right, going to use the toilet. So they have created long toilets where it's even big enough for you to wheel your trolleys into. So that is one of the things that we talk about, thinking about what the needs of the people who use that particular environment. What do we have to prepare? I also think about hotel rooms as a very good example of a prepared environment. I travel a lot, so I walked into some beautiful looking hotel rooms where I can't find the plug, or the plug doesn't work, or there's nowhere to hang up my towel, right? Or it is such an awkward shape, I don't feel comfortable in it. So the design of our environment must take in a lot of consideration. And then we move on. So these are the things we have to think about. These are the guiding principles in a way that guide us to prepare an environment. Firstly, we need to think about the needs of the people who are going to use it, who are going to live in it. And then we have to think about the kind of order of where we put things. Is it in a convenient place? Is it accessible? Is it usable? Is it functioning? Is it too high for for short people to reach? I think that's the thing I find worse now, that many environments, I think, are prepared by tall men or big men. You know, the chairs are too big. They're not comfortable for short people like me, or things are too high for me to reach. So you can think of many situations that, you come across where the environment isn't making life easy for you. Then if we take those same ideas and we think about preparing environments for our children of whichever age group, whether they are the infants who are just crawling, or whether they're toddlers who are just able to get to a shelf, or whether they are 3 to 6 children who are actually able to move, but need to be able to move in a way that they are challenged so that they can actually develop their coordination of movement. Or whether it's an older child who needs to be outside, not in an enclosed space. Or whether it's the adolescent who needs to be in the countryside, working on land. All those environments are different because they are providing for the needs for the children. They have to be different because we know that children develop differently at different times. They need different things. They're developing different aspects of themselves at different times. So in order to think of a prepared environment, we first of all have to really understand what the needs of those children are in order to prepare. And if we think about in the 3 to 6 in particular, because I think this is the main age group we're talking about here, we're talking about what? That 3 to 6 year old, what is their aim, their task in that 3 years of life? Is to develop coordination of movement. They must gain control of their movement. They must actually develop and grow their language. And most of all, they have to be independent. They have to be able to be doing things physically independently, but they also have to think independently. So the freedom that must be offered to children in this prepared environment is actually an important aspect of a prepared environment too. So we're going to look at those ideas in more detail. But everything that when we question what should we do, what should we prepare, what should we have, the questions that should be at the back of our mind should always be, how will this help the child's development? Will it help the child's development? And another thing I didn't mention about a prepared environment is that it cannot offer children everything. That is not the aim of a prepared environment. We cannot provide every experience for a child. But what do we need to do? We need to think about providing what we call key experiences. A key, as we know, is something that unlocks a door. So when we offer an experience, it unlocks an experience for the child to think, oh, I can try this. I can maybe find this experience somewhere else. So we cannot offer every experience. So if we're offering a child an activity, for example, to coordinate their movement, we can't give them everything for coordination. You know, we can't make everybody good at playing the piano, good at playing playing tennis, playing cricket, knitting, sewing. We can't give every experience to the child. But what we focus on is helping the child to actually gain control of the various parts of their body, to gain that eye and hand coordination, to gain that equilibrium, the control of the whole body, so that they can attempt to do other things. So those are the kind of key experiences we must give the child. Similarly, for language, we can't give the child every name of everything, every name for every experience. But what we offer the child is that thinking, oh, if this has a name, I wonder what name that has. And if I go out into the wider environment, what can I look for? So in our environments, we must provide key experiences. We must provide real experiences. They can't be fake. Because what is it that our children are aiming to do? They're aiming to develop so that they can live life, real life. They can develop with all the necessities needed to live life as an adult. So there's no point giving them fake experiences. We need to make sure that we have reality. We need to offer key experiences. And in order to understand those experiences, we must make sure that our environments offer these experiences in a particular, with clarity. And in order to offer clarity, one of the main principles of Montessori is order. That things in our environments need to be, displayed in an orderly way. Think of our own environments. When we walk into a messy shop, for example, or we walk into a messy room or a messy kitchen and disorderly and where you can't find anything, how do we feel? We feel insecure. We feel confused. We feel inefficient. So it is important that when we put things out, especially for our children, we must think of how it is displayed. And how it is displayed is linked to beauty, is linked to aesthetics. when things are not displayed beautifully, if things are on top of each other, behind each other, dirty, messy, broken, incomplete, that all doesn't help the child to understand their environment. So, apart from the things that we have in our environments, the physical things and the physical and the experiences, we must also remember that we as people are part of the child's environment, are part of everybody's environment. So the way we respond to children, our attitudes, the encouragement we give, our own love for the environment, our love for this environment that we have prepared is a very important guideline for functioning within it. Ruku, I think we can now move on maybe to a few practical aspects of, because since the talk is about the outdoor environment, I think we're going to examine the fact that not everybody has the same, whereas most indoor environments are pretty much, something we can work within. Some might be small, some might be large, but most environments would have shelves. But not everybody's outdoor environment can be prepared the same way. But the main thing I think we wanted to think about is if we can offer the child an outdoor environment, however small or however large, but it will only be a really well prepared environment which will support the child's development if we remember the guidelines underpinning a prepared environment. So that's over to you, Ruku.
When I hear all around us. I hear teachers and school heads and people whom we talk about the outdoor environment with. We always come back to the idea that we don't have an outdoor area. We don't have an outdoor space. We don't have a garden. We don't have a. So we hear this all the time. We also hear another aspect of the outdoor environment, which is there is a lot of space, but how do we let the children go out unsupervised? Is it okay for them to have a time in which they leave the environment and come back so that they can go at 10 o'clock and come back at 11? Is that okay? So we have that. When there is access to an outdoor environment, which is a little further from the classroom where the children don't have direct access. And mostly we hear from teachers fear. Right? Most of the things that we hear about the tone, the underpinning is fear. If their children go out and they have a wonderful time, will they ever come back in again? Will they stay out all day playing? Is play better than work? Is play something that makes them happy and work inside the room makes them unhappy? These are questions that all of us, I think, in this group, whoever's here, we've heard these problems come up from time to time in discussions. How do we make this happen? And I think that every answer to these questions is in what Ruby just said, which is order, efficiency, an understanding of work, an understanding of the child, and an understanding that of the role of the prepared environment. So the first thing I think that is very important for us to put in our head is that outdoor environments are not about play. If we are clear about that, the outdoor environment is a prepared environment. It's not a playground. So the minute I don't know, for me, it was like a switch when I did that in my head. It's not a playground. It's not a garden by itself. It is a prepared environment that must support the development of children. In a Montessori environment, that's our goal. Whether it's outdoors, whether it's indoors, whether it's in the corridor, whether it's in the van, whether it's in a bus coming to school, whether it's wherever the children are, the environment must give way to the needs of the child, must put the child first, must help the child to develop, must help the child to towards the three things that Ruby and I were discussing earlier today, which is language. Does it help their language to grow? Does it help their movements to stabilize and to coordinate? And does it stabilize their independence? And actually, these are the three questions that we need to ask wherever we are, in whatever context we are. And I feel we ask, should we show them cricket or should we show them basketball? Should we show them how to catch a ball or should we put out cones for them to run around? What do we do outside? How can they, how we don't have a path to sweep? So you come up with ideas that are, how can we do this? How can we do a particular activity? So I think that if you look back at the indoor environment, why is it that it's so secure and why is it that it's so framed, right? I'll give you a small example of a practical life activity, right? I did a year in Canada, and I saw the children have a dressing frame in which the children learned how to lace the ice skates, right? How to lace them. They're very different. They don't have holes. They've got a very different way of lacing them. And the children learn to lace them. It's a great new activity. I saw it in Canada. Can I bring the frame and put it into my environment in Chennai? New activity. Nice activity. A lot of movements. A lot of very, things that the children need in terms of, we could show them with analysis. They can repeat. They can master their own movements. But does it make sense? How does it connect to a child's reality in Chennai? So are we asking these kinds of questions when it comes to the outdoor environment? That's not always very clear to me. Somewhere we lose our way in this aspect of what shall we put in the environment becomes a problem of, should we have sports? Should we have a playground? Should we have a seesaw? Should we have a slide? Should we have a jungle gym? Or should we just have a garden? Should we just have a watering can? The children can't go out in the rain. So it becomes a series of problems, right? So the question is this, what is the children's reality? In a Chennai garden for adults, if you have a nice house and you have a garden, what would you do in that garden? Maybe that's where we need to begin. If you have a space that connects to your everything that is around your Montessori environment for the 3 to 6 or the 6 to 12, right around it, outside the doors, what do you have? Do you have a corridor? Do you have a staircase? Do you have a veranda and steps leading to a larger garden? Do you have some space? Yes. How would you design a garden for your own house? First thing we have to look at is, what space do we have? And depending on that space, you have to look at that space and find out how to bring order, beauty, peace, if you like. Yes, we want peace in our environment. How do we bring freedom? How do we bring independence? Can the children go and come on their own? Can two young children be guided by an older child? How can we make this happen? Is there only a place for them to a nice granite table in which they can write? With a little stool which they can take out and write in the garden and come back? Is there maybe that's what you have. Maybe that's the outdoor environment that you have. The outdoor environment cannot be identical from place to place. So if you have a much larger space, then what are the things that we can do, which you cannot do indoors, which is possible for us to do in a home, right? Can we grow vegetables? Can we grow coriander? I'm all the time now seeing, in the phone, I think I must have touched one thing. I don't know what I touched, but now I constantly see how you can grow all the herbs that you want in a windowsill. Right? There's all these gardens that people are growing in their windowsill. Not a garden, not an outdoor space, not acres of land, not mango groves, just in their window space. So there are people who have thought about beauty, order, the needs of the plants that you're growing, and the needs of the children who will take care of that environment. Right? So all of these things, if we think about what is the space that's available to me, what can we do here so that children can be active? And let's look at this word action and activity for the child. So when we think about the indoor environment, we know that the children must be active. Active is a wonderful word. Active is the opposite of what Montessori calls quiescence. Quiescence is the area within our soul, if you like, where there's calm, peace, no activity yet. From this quiescence, from this calmness, the work arises, the thought arises. From the thoughts, the hands and the body become active, and the child begins to engage with the outer environment, which we can see. What happens inside, we can't see. What happens in the outer environment, we can see, and the child begins to build what is within by engaging with his hands with the outer environment. So if this is activity, yes, then it's not pouring or pink tower or brown stairs, which is activity. Activity is what arises from within the child. So if we understand that activity to be what arises from within the child, we know that it can't be destructive. It cannot destroy the environment. It cannot be screaming and running around with their faces red and throwing mud and saying that, yes, the children are having a marvelous time in the outdoor space. That their faces are red, they are up, fully excited, their energy is unchanneled. There is no control over themselves or over others. There's no control. No control is not a state that allows the child to develop, to grow, to refine himself. So this movement or this language that is possible in the outdoor environment is the same as it would be in the indoor environment. But what do we say in the indoor environment? We say, don't. We cannot run. Right? We cannot run. We cannot run because our movements are controlled so that we take care of the others in the environment. In the outdoor environment, if you have space, then there is an opportunity that we can create if it is possible. Not all the time. If you can't, you can't. If you have a small balcony, you can't. If you have a staircase, movement becomes possible. If you have a corridor, movement becomes possible. If you have a big garden, definitely different types of movements become possible. So then those movements must be presented to the child, presented to the children, so that the children can repeat for joy and for building themselves, just like the pink tower. No difference. No difference. The minute we create playgrounds and we create pre-prescribed ideas of what we feel must be in a garden. So like, for instance, we have firmly in our mind that we need, I don't know, but it happens only with children's parks and children's thing. When you think of a garden, if you're building a house, each of us will have a different imagination of what will be in a garden if we had a garden. And that would suit the place and the house that you are building. Isn't it? And your ability in your family to look after what is around you. It would not be more than that. But somehow when it comes to a school, we think that because Montessori is not attached to I don't know whether we should even call it a Montessori school. Montessori, the CASA or any Montessori environment at any age level is an environment that supports the child and supports the child's development. So it's technically not a school. It is modeled after the needs of the child. It is modeled for the needs of the child. And it takes as its model the home and the community. So if your environment doesn't fit into the life that the child has of the community, Ruby kept saying reality. If it doesn't link to that reality of the child's life, then it won't make. It will be something that we have to monitor. We have to police. You can go here at this time. You can't go here at other times. You can be there if there is supervision. Otherwise, you can't be. You have to stand in a line. All of you have to go at the same time. Everyone has to come back at the same time. What you have to do there is already pre-planned. Then you have only a broken attention and no possibility for activity either indoors or outdoors. So a prepared environment must be accessible to the child from the time that the child arrives in the environment to the time that he leaves. We cannot worry that the children will like the outdoor work so much that they will not come in. We cannot worry like that. We have to trust and we have to understand that the child's internal needs are met. We have to have boundaries. We have to have observation. We have to have, does it sound familiar, this? Observation. We have to have presentations that we offer the child. And we have to observe when the child repeats these. So whether it's a garden and leading to all things garden, whether it's a dog and it's leading to the care of this animal and therefore to, the understanding of the world of animals, whether it is movement. Montessori talks about the balancing beam and she talks about the ladder, several types of ladders and parallel bars. So if the child goes to the parallel bars, then does the child know how to use them? Does the child know how to work with it, repeat? Does he push another child when another child comes to use it? Does he use it peacefully and learn to take turns so that they each repeat until they are satisfied? What happens after that activity is over? Who redirects the child's energies if the children have lost an interest? This is the role of the adult. So there is nothing in this prepared environment that is fixed. You may have a basketball hoop, you may not. You may have a herb garden and grow some tomatoes, or you may not. You may have creepers and climbers and some shrubs and flowering plants, or you may not. You may have a seat for the children to sit down and write in, or a lovely veranda where the children can spread their mat and do some work that they wish to do from the work that they brought from the math area, or you need not. That will depend on the space that you have and the possibilities that you have thought through. But what will be available in any prepared environment in the outdoors is order, beauty. What else did Ruby say? Order, beauty, reality. It cannot have everything. It is not a playground. It cannot have the representation of every sport. It cannot. This is not a sports academy. It is not an artist studio. It is not a pottery studio. So you can't have everything. It is not designed as an adult prepared environment for a potter. It is not designed as an adult prepared environment for a cricketer. It is designed as a prepared environment for the growth of a child of this age. So they need keys. So I would say, if you look at humans from time immemorial, yes, from the oldest of times, human beings have played with a ball everywhere in the world. There are ball games. Everywhere in the world, humans have hit an object with a stick to make it fly. Yeah, bats and rackets of different kinds have been discovered from ages. So human beings need play, but play is their work. Right? Play, their leisure is also an aspect of their work. So if we have bats, how are the bats left? Do they have a stand? How many bats are there? Is there one for everybody or just one? What is the rule of the inside environment? How many pink tars do we have? Only one. If it's in use, then somebody else has to wait. So do we have that principle outside when we have toys? Toys or things that they should play with, right? I don't know what to call them. A bat, a ball, sports equipment, if you like. There should be only one of each, or as many as is needed to do the activity. Are they in sets? Are they beautifully displayed in order? Are they all Are they all beautiful? Or are they all broken and made of plastic and have holes in them? Are they put back? Do the children know where to put it back? Or do they all throw it in a big bin in an environment? Do they prepare the area themselves if they play? Or do you do it for them? Or do you tell them what to do after they've come out? Or does a support staff person prepare that area before the child comes? So that there's no reality check of how that happened. It's just by magic it all appeared. So if we look at these things and see how we can create outdoor spaces that are prepared. And if we just look around the hotel industry or hospitality industry, if we look around any space where people are traveling, where people now extensively in building, in architecture, in engineering, in interior design, these principles are constantly used. Not everything, only a few things. Simple thing that Ruby said today. Not everything, only key experiences, only key items must be available. Order and beauty. Work, not play alone. Work. Play is work. Freedom, access. Trust in the child. Faith in the child. These are the things that I think are the most fundamentally important things about the children's life. If we start training children for sports, right? Let's say that we set up something very beautiful with a golfer or with a tennis star or with a, as we have now for young children, there's so many opportunities now. We say that when they begin young, they have a good chance. What is it that we also then close the door on? We close the door on others. So if you're taking your time to only play cricket outside, then is there enough sufficient work possible in leading the child towards understanding plants? Fundamental and important as the child grows to understand the planet on which we live. Is there sufficient understanding the birds and the insects that live in our world? Is the child able to do that? Yes? Or are we screaming when we see the lizard and saying that the cockroach must be instantly killed? And are we teaching our children only to be afraid of nature? From day one, what are we teaching them? Be afraid of snakes. Be afraid of insects. Be afraid of, be scared if you are bitten by a mosquito because you may get sick. Everything that is natural, if your feet get sandy, it's dirty. It's not good. We are teaching them that natural experiences are unpleasant. The more urban our children, the greater the issues. They are disconnected lives. So unless we connect them to nature, unless we connect them to the movement of their own bodies in the outdoor environment, then we don't give them this complete experience for development. I think I'll stop there.